I'll wait for a few more people to hop on before we start the craft show questions answered video. Gonna pull up some photos of setups that I've done in the past. No, I have a bunch. Setup really is different every single time, so it's hard for me to say like exactly what works. Oh, that's a 360 view, so that's not necessarily going to work. Okay, so we will start with question number 1 that was posted. Feel free to say hi, guys, so I know you're here. If you have any questions that I haven't answered, feel free to comment, and I will try to answer them while we're hanging out. So how do you find the shows? I used to just kind of Google conventions, and now I have a little bit of a set list of ones I like that we go to every time. I travel with my friend Ashley most of the time, and that makes things so much easier. We get to split travel costs 50-50. It's really nice. What sells best for you? This kind of changes every show and based on what I bring. What sells best for me right now is dresses, and those I do not make. I have them manufactured with my fabric designs, so it's something I can easily make. I can easily purchase a lot of them, and they come in almost every size, so people can wear them no matter what size they are. So it's been a huge seller. Second under that, I think, would be neckties or vinyl totes. Just something useful for people, but something that has a lower price point so that the cost isn't an issue. I just want to say, I meant to do this before I started, I totally forgot. I've been doing shows for about 4 or 5 years now, and I'm not claiming to be an expert. What works for me may not work for you, but you can take information however you'd like. Is your setup the same every time? No. I actually used to like not even sleep before a show because I'd be so stressed out about how I was going to set up. So now I kind of do a setup in my house and figure out how it's going to lay out. It never turns out quite the same, but at least I go into it with a mental note of how I want to set everything up. So you want to make sure that when you sign up for a show, you check if they provide tables, if they provide chairs, and then you want to make sure you utilize the space as much as possible. So one thing is to build up. You know, you can double your space almost if you're able to build up onto that table space that they've given you. Some shows do have a height limit, so you want to make sure that you read up on that if you can. Yeah, feel free to comment and say hi, guys. I feel like there's a lot of people watching, but I don't see comments, so I want to make sure that I can. So hopefully those questions are answered. I will move along. Okay, one of my questions would be, how many people do you have helping at big conventions? So it used to just be me and my husband, so it was like me and half a person, basically. I don't think he's in this group, so it's okay to say. But the last convention I went to, I did have 3 other people helping me. I did pay them a certain percentage of what I made. So it's really hard to pay people unless you up your costs, because you're only thinking about how much you need to make. So that was rough, but it was really fun. It was nice to be able to enjoy the convention and know that my booth was taken care of. But normally I would say that you want to have at least 1 helper so that if you need to go to the bathroom, you can go to the bathroom, or at least somebody to bring you lunch if it's a long show. Oh, dang it. Thank you, Elizabeth. That's a bummer. Okay, I will put my computer on mute and set the video up here so I can see them, which I always feel lame doing. Oh, that's switching to tab. My bad. Thanks. So whatever. We are super concentrated. Hi, Lauren. Yeah, Bonnie, it gets really tough. It gets really tough. You want to utilize as much space as possible, so that's hard. Next one is, how do you know what and how much to make? Sewing random inventory concerns me. That is a tough one. I usually kind of base it off what sold last time, but that's hard if you're first starting. So you want to make a small amount of things that you like, honestly. I feel like if you like something, it's really going to be easier for you to sell it. If you're passionate about a certain fabric design and it looks really pretty to you, there's going to be somebody else out there that thinks the same exact thing. So it's really, that's kind of what I do. I just do what I like. And then usually when you get to shows, people ask like, oh, do you have anything like this? Do you have anything like this? And you can make a mental note. You could try and take an order on the spot and just let them know like, oh, I can definitely make that. I can do that. And take an order. Okay. So hopefully that helped. So bottom line is I would do a small amount to start with and just kind of see what sells. What sells well online doesn't sell the same in person, so that gets really confusing too. I've tried to take my online data and apply it to craft shows, and those are just two different people. Like, the craft shows are people that will leave their house, and the online sales are people who won't leave their house. So they're a little different. How do you pick what shows to do? I honestly, when I first started, I would look at Facebook pages. I would see like if they have a certain number of likes on their event or people going, then you'd kind of know it's a better craft show to do, or a better show to do based on the past shows. You can look up that as well. Just kind of do as much research about it as possible. You can even ask the people running it, like, okay, what is your average attendance? Because you don't necessarily want to do a show that brings in like 40 people, unless it's a really specific show. Because that was basically my first craft show. They called it a craft show, but it was a vendor fair. So there was Scentsy and Pampered Chef and Avon, and I was like, I'm not gonna sell anything here. These people aren't here to buy handmade goods. They're here to buy direct sales items. So that doesn't always work well. At least for me, it didn't. What is your preference in booth size? Usually I like to go with artist alley tables because the tables are there. You just need to build up. But lately I've been kind of doing 10 by 10 spaces only because I need the room. So if you have the furniture to furnish a 10 by 10 easily, go for those. Because you can get a lot of space and a lot of stuff in that space. What are inline or corner? What price points do you sell the most of? I try to keep things under $40 if I can, because a lot of times it shows people aren't used to big handmade vendors like that, so they're not going to be used to seeing like $100 for a handbag or $70 for a wallet, because I usually don't get it. So that's why I try to do tote bags that are $25, vinyl totes that are $40. The dresses I sell for like $38 to $40, and people are usually like, okay, yeah, I can hand out two 20s. But usually they have like a set amount of money they want to spend, and they don't want to go over. So when they see something really cool, but it's really expensive, they're going to think on it, and you're not going to get the sales. But I haven't done an all handbag show. I usually have smaller items sprinkled in, like a $4 hair bow. I sell so many hair bows because a lot of times it shows people want something small that they can take with them and be like, oh yeah, I bought something. Or they're shopping for other people so they can grab something for someone else, and it's relatively inexpensive. So ID wallets used to be a huge seller for me. I just don't have the energy to make them anymore. I used to sell a lot of headbands. Those were $10. So it was really easy for people to be like, oh yeah, I'll grab one of these. Why not? So I try to have a variety of price points, but keep it under $40 to $50 if you can. At the same time, don't sell yourself short. Don't just try to make the sale. I like corner spaces, to answer that question, so much. You get more surface area, you're not as confined on the sides, and like people are walking in the aisles all the time, but they may not go down an aisle, but at least they'll see the corner. So you have more of an advantage at that point. And you can have stuff on both sides. Do you take custom orders at shows? If so, what is your procedure for that? I do take custom orders at shows. Usually it's for dresses, but just recently I had somebody order a wallet. And I use Shopify for my e-commerce website. Shopify is amazing. They even have an app. They have a card reader. So if you are keeping your inventory, you can use Shopify to take all of your payments. And then it just gets deposited into your bank account the next day. So sometimes I do that. I prefer PayPal here. I meant to bring my iPad down so I could show you guys how PayPal here looks. So I apologize. But you can set up all of your items, item types, and the price, and then you can just like tap a button every time. I think Square might have the same thing. So do your research and see which one you like more. My procedure for that would be to put their item in the invoice, basically, that I'm creating, and add shipping if necessary, let them know the processing time, send them an emailed receipt. If they want to take something with them, make sure you give them one of your cards. Like, hey, feel free to email me if you have absolutely any questions about this. Just make sure everything is really clear. If you're confused about something, they're probably confused about something. So make sure you discuss everything fully. If it's a really busy show, it's kind of hard to do one-on-one custom orders there. So I usually just say, email me if you'd like to place a custom order. 9 times out of 10, though, you're not going to hear from them. So maybe take their email and email them about a custom order. I haven't tried that, but I might. That's a good idea. I'm going to write that down. Okay, I'll see if you guys have any questions. Oh, did I lose it? I always charge in even amounts if I can. God, this is so weird. I don't like it, but I need to read the comments. Yeah, I try to charge even amounts if I can. Just because it makes it a little easier with change. If you're doing a cash show, you don't necessarily want to bring a bunch of pennies and nickels and dimes, whatever. Okay, there we go. That's better. So that's how I would answer that question. Is it hard to be accepted for cons? Are they looking for certain criteria? Most conventions, especially Wizard World, you don't apply. You just fill out the application and give them your money and you're in. They don't deny anybody. We've seen all kinds. It's kind of funny. Do you only travel by auto to take your inventory? Have you gone farther and shipped your inventory? Lately, yes, I only travel by auto because I travel with someone, so that makes it easier. I have flown to a show before. It's when I had a lot smaller items and I was able to fly via Southwest. And I took CJ with me, so you get 2 checked bags under 50 pounds per person. So we had 3 suitcases full of inventory. 1 carry-on full of display items, because that was way over 50 pounds. And then we had 1 suitcase with our clothes in it. So that was a really fun experience. I could not ever do that again because everything I have is so heavy. Like the dresses, one suitcase full of dresses is going to weigh more than 50 pounds, and you want to make sure that you make your booth feedback and more. So I've never looked into shipping items, but I do know that conventions will ship like with them because they're going there anyway. If you're traveling with the same convention, they'll take it from one show to the next for you so that you don't have to. Never done that before. I'm going to do a show May 1st. That's my first. Everyone has asked my questions. Oh, Wendy, I'm glad I answered your questions. The main thing that I would recommend if you're doing a craft show for the first time is know your table size and order a fitted tablecloth. Tablecloths are everything. Literally, if you bring nothing else, bring a tablecloth. The first, gosh, I don't know how many shows, like 5 or 6 shows I did, they were smaller so it was okay, but like I had no tablecloths. That looks terrible. Like especially if you hide stuff under the tables, it looks awful. So make sure you have fitted tablecloths if you have nothing else. You can get a different color besides black, but black really lets your items stand out. There's very few setups that I've seen that don't have a black tablecloth and still look cohesive and shoppable. You could always add like a fun lace overlay to give it a girly, frilly vibe to attract a certain kind of customer, and add a little more color. What are the magic words to close a sale? So I am not a pushy salesperson whatsoever. But to draw people in, make sure you say hi to everybody. It used to be really hard for me. I'm an introvert, and talking to people isn't easy. It's easy online because I'm not really talking to anybody, but I am at the same time. So I try to just be like, hi, how's it going? Bring people in because if you've already talked to them, they know that they can talk to you, if that makes sense. I've walked through a lot of booths where people are talking to their friends, and I might be looking at something, but if they don't talk to me, I'm not gonna buy. I don't know, I just won't. So I try to tell people like, just about everything is handmade. I design the fabrics. You want to give people a little story about yourself so that it feels more personal than if they were just shopping at Walmart. I try to compliment people as long as it's like honest, I guess, if that makes sense. Like I saw a girl, she was wearing this really cool lipstick, so I was like, oh my gosh, I absolutely love your lipstick, that looks amazing. And she wouldn't have stopped otherwise. And then she bought a handbag. It was crazy. Like she didn't need to, but her lipstick was awesome, so I told her. So I honestly can't say that there is like a magic word to get the sale other than just be yourself and try to connect with the customer, because that will more than likely make them want to buy if you're open and communicative, if that's a word. I don't know. But try and come up with like a short spiel so that you don't get like tongue-tied when you're talking to somebody. I literally say the same thing every time and I get annoyed with myself, but it lets people know the gist of things. What are your best sellers? What type of purses, totes, bags, what price range? So I kind of already answered that. My best sellers would be dresses. I like to take really simple canvas tote bags and then a fancier option with vinyl, something that I can make quickly. I think after cutting and all that stuff, the vinyl totes maybe take an hour to make each, and I sew the handles, rip the handles. If I added pockets, I would probably sell more of them, but that takes longer and I'd have to charge more. So I would say try to keep it under a certain price point, like probably under $60 if you can, especially for handbags. But don't sell yourself short. Have those options because there might be someone there who will spend the money. But more times than not, at shows I hear like, oh my god, you want $100 for this bag? And I'm like, well, it's handmade by me, thank you very much, and it's worth it. Thanks for doing this. Here's my question. Is it better to put lots of stuff, have the table and rack full, or less? I would say you want to kind of have it in the medium. You don't want to make it look empty because then nobody's going to come over. It's really weird. But if you have too much, it's not shoppable. People can't move things around. So you definitely want to fill your table, but you don't want to shove it full so that people feel like they can't come up, like they can't touch things, like they're disturbing you, I guess. I don't know. Definitely you want to make it shoppable. So that's why I would suggest doing like a little setup. Even post a picture in our group and see what people think. I'm more than happy to help if I can. Is there a different pricing between the items sold at shows and ones sold through your shop? I don't price things differently. People might ask for a discount at a convention or a show, and I usually say, I'm sorry, I charge the lowest price possible, even though I might have a sale online. But I try to keep it super consistent so that people don't go online and think like, oh, she way overcharged me, or vice versa. You want to keep it kind of the same. If you make wholesale, do you consider the pricing? I don't do wholesale only because I try to charge the lowest price possible for items. I've tried to do it, but I don't want to sell things at wholesale that I could sell myself. I don't know. Because with wholesale, you have to charge at least half the price, and that's basically my cost, because I don't follow the formula for cost times 2 plus time, because no one's going to pay that. They're just not. Let's be real. And you can say, like, well, then they aren't your customer, but then you have no customers. Jessica says, I notice you sell dresses and other items. Do you make those also? Like I said at the beginning of the video, I do sell dresses, but I do not hand make them. They're just made with my original fabric designs. And then enamel pins I don't make, but everything else I make that I sell. And I try to let people know that I don't make those. When you make clothes, what sizes do you do? 2 to 20? I actually go up to size 5X. It depends on your show, but a lot of times curvy ladies can't find cute clothes and they get really frustrated. I've had a lot of conversations with people like, thank you for carrying my size. I hate it when I can't find anything. And I'm like, I'm there with you. I'm curvy, I get it. Okay. How to display bags effectively and what to say to those just walking. It seems weird to say hi to 10 people in a row. It does seem weird. You get used to it, but hi, how's it going is usually a really good way, because then they have to respond if you ask them a question, and that gets them to like look. It really does work. It's proven. How to display bags effectively. So if you go on Amazon, there's something called a Whitmore cube, WHITMOR. And those, to me, are the easiest way to build up. You can put them in a small tote or like a small suitcase to get them to the show because they can be heavy, and just make a little zipper pouch for the connectors. But you can build those into almost anything, so they're super easy to display handbags on. And then you can buy grid wall hooks and hook stuff on to hang things. They're amazing. I don't use those as much anymore because I bought actual grid wall, but that's because I have 10 by 10 spaces and no tables. But when you have a table and you want to build up, those are absolutely amazing. I'll be sure to post a link in the video description, especially. I guess mine would be marketing. What seems to be worth spending money on and what doesn't? Best investments marketing-wise is you want to have a sign. I bought a vertical sign, and I absolutely love it. I don't have to deal with the banner stand and me tripping over it. It literally just like zips out and clips up, and it's up in 30 seconds. Maybe a minute if I'm going really slow. But you want to have a sign. You want to let people know who you are with your signage. Some people don't have business cards. That's totally cool. I find it to be a very small amount of money to spend to get people to come back to your website if that's what you want. But a lot of times people will take a picture of cards nowadays and just put it on their phone. So you could even get like a postcard that people can take a photo of and just order a small amount. So if they really want to take something with them, they can take that postcard. So that would be that. Average cost of table space at a craft show, is it worth it to do big craft shows? Is it better? Okay, let me answer that one first. The very last craft show I did, or convention, the booth space was $1,250. And I really hated spending that amount, but I knew I would make it back. It was a big show. So if you're confident you're gonna make your money back, $400 is not too terrible. But if you only break even, that gets really, really hard. Like, really hard. So I'm not telling anybody to go get a credit card, but I have a credit card that I use only for shows, and I'll buy my booth space and then pay it off after the show more often than not. But that's the only thing I use that credit card for, so that kind of helps with expenses, but you don't want to get too carried away with that either. So be careful if you decide to go that route. But definitely do your research on the show. Make sure it brings in the amount of people. Try and look up the past show and see what photos people posted, what items they purchased, and that'll kind of help you know if it's right for you or not. Also, is it better to have one pattern of bag with different fabrics and maybe only offer 4 to 6 patterns? I would say that you want to have maybe 4 to 5 different types of bags, because if you go to Walmart, you'll see not everybody has the same exact bag. I really want to just like set up a survey somewhere and ask people like, why did you buy that bag? What is your favorite part about that bag? So I just ask my friends. But you want to have like something small for teenagers, even like a small crossbody, like the triple zip by Soda Kine. I think it's Kine. You want to have something with lots of pockets, something a little bit bigger, kind of a basic tote. You want to get crossbodies. My biggest show sellers are the Emily's, and what else? Small crossbody bags. Not necessarily the foldovers though. People, I don't know, they don't like foldovers anymore. Like, it's hard to say. And then definitely the Annette, only because it's super fast for me to make. So you want something that's easy to make but looks professional. Good luck. Biggest issue has always been setup. Oh, wow. That's crazy. 3,000 euro for a blue space. My go-to would be those Whitmore cubes that you can stack and build how you want. You can make like a little step shelf and put things in the cubes, and then on top of the cubes you can hang things off the sides. But those would be the best way to build up, in my experience. I really liked Nadia's comment. She says, as a customer, I am excited about this video. I buy and fill my home with things that she buys from conventions. Yeah. And so she takes a business card. So that would be a great advertising cost that you'd want to think about is a business card, like I said earlier, or even a postcard that has like some of your items on it so people know later. Mine doesn't have any business card or any of my products on it. It just looks really cool, so I hope people don't throw it away, but a lot of times they throw cards away. What does my display look like? My display is different every time. This was a really cool photo that the last convention I was at took of my booth, and I didn't know it was happening, but I was like, oh, hey, that's my booth, that's really cool. Hopefully you guys can kind of see that, but this was a 10 by 10. I have grid wall here, I've got 2 clothing racks, and since I was on a corner, people could shop from the outside and the inside. You really just want to show off as much as you can where you're at. How many shows a year do I do? I want to say I do 6 to 10 shows a year right now. Sometime, I think it's gonna get up to more. Ashley would know how many shows we're doing this year, but I get tired. How far do you go? We don't like to travel more than 4 to 5 hours away. If you can, don't go over an hour. That way you can cut costs down by staying at home and then just driving back and forth. How much stock do you take? Really, I just take whatever I can make. Because if you have extra inventory, you can take it to the next one. If you sell out, that's kind of awesome, right? And that was all the questions that I see. 12 was the worst. Yeah, 12-hour drive. Don't go over that. Okay, so I don't see any other questions that are commented, so if you guys have any other questions, feel free to comment. If not, I will end the video. And then I can add some photos to this video of setup, and then I'll add the links to the setup items that I really like. 8 shows? Yeah, 8 shows sounds about right, because we do have some months off, especially around the holidays. But if you are not a big online seller, go to those holiday shows. Usually they're 1 to 2 days, which isn't too terrible. And a lot of times they're not super expensive. I've done a few and people need gifts. Oh, Carrie, good, I'm glad. Again, these are things that work for me. They may not work for you, so make sure you do your research. If you have any questions, feel free to comment on this video even after it's not live, and I'll do my best to answer them. What's up, Shay? Okay, so I'll end it. I have to actually get some work done because I haven't done anything all weekend. Bye, guys.